Welcome to this explainer. So, we're diving right into the high-stakes world of multi-unit building plumbing maintenance. I mean, we've all heard the horror stories, right? A single leaky pipe ruining a weekend, and it's always at 2 a.m. on a Sunday. But in a massive residential building, the fallout from that is just catastrophic. So today, we're looking at how a meticulously structured maintenance schedule doesn't just save a ton of money, but literally prevents building-wide disasters and keeps everything running smoothly. To kick things off, let's ask a really crucial question. What actually happens when just one single pipe fails in a shared multi-unit building? You know, it's not like a single-family home where you can just shut off the main water line, call it a day, and not bother your neighbors. The ripple effects in a massive structure, they're immediate and they are severe. And the stakes are incredibly high here because these buildings rely on deeply interconnected systems. We're talking about shared supply lines, vertical risers running between floors, massive drainage stacks, critical shutoff valves, and of course, high-capacity domestic hot water equipment. Because everything is tied together so closely, a small, localized issue in one unit can instantly snowball into huge service disruptions, angry tenants, and wildly expensive repairs that affect literally everyone. So, looking at the timeline, we can see how this all builds. Think of this chronological framework as our roadmap. A proper multi-unit schedule isn't just a random list of chores, right? It tracks a very intentional escalation. It starts with small, high-frequency monthly tasks, moves through 3-month and 6-month checks, and culminates in these major 12-month annual overhauls. This timeline is the baseline framework keeping complex properties safe. All right, let's look at the monthly high-frequency checks. It's all about catching problems early. During these monthly walkthroughs, your focus needs to be squarely on visibility and accessibility. You've got to actively look for visible leaks at pipes, valves, and joints in common areas, like basements or mechanical rooms. You also want to inspect fixture performance in spots that have a history of backing up. And crucially, you need to confirm that sump pumps are actually doing their job, and that emergency shutoff valves and cleanout caps are accessible, because believe me, you do not want to be hunting for a buried shutoff valve when water is actively pouring down a hallway. Now, this highlights a really interesting shift in strategy as time progresses. On one hand, monthly checks are pretty reactive to tenant-facing signals, things like slow drains, weird odors, or pressure drops. But as we move into the quarterly side of things, the strategy shifts entirely to proactive, pre-clog, and pre-wear actions. You stop waiting for symptoms and start going after the root causes. In fact, as the source material puts it, quarterly work is where routine pre-clog and pre-wear actions pay off. And why is that so vital? Well, because drainage systems in big properties are constantly accumulating these hidden threats. Even if tenants only complain about minor things, sediment, grease, hair, and mineral scale are silently building up inside those shared pipes every single day. Which brings us to the quarterly phase: cleanouts, monitoring, and tackling that hidden buildup. So every 3 months, the work gets quite a bit more physical. Property managers have to get in there and clean out accessible P-traps and strainers. This is especially critical in common laundry areas where lint and debris cause massive, nightmare-inducing sudsy backups. You've also got to clean out any sediment traps or filters. Plus, this is exactly the time to inspect expansion tanks for failure signs and to verify that pumps and pressure-reducing valves are operating properly. These components are basically the beating heart of the system, so they need that quarterly check-in. Moving further down the timeline, we hit the semi-annual mark: deeper inspections and testing under pressure. Twice a year, things require a bit of heavy lifting. We're looking closely at components that can fail under intense pressure and cause large-scale water damage if you ignore them. It's absolutely crucial to flush the domestic hot water lines to clear out scale. You also have to strictly inspect backflow preventers and verify they're within their service intervals, which is non-negotiable for keeping the building's drinking water safe. You test the thermostatic safety devices, and this one's actually pretty cool: perform CCTV camera inspections on problem sewer tie-ins. Getting a camera down there shows you exactly what you're dealing with before it backs up into someone's ground floor apartment. Now we've reached the end of the calendar year. Annual maintenance, focusing on compliance, major care, and renewals. Once a year, the scope gets massive. The focus shifts heavily toward compliance-ready documentation and planning for component renewals. You've got to inspect and test water heaters and boilers exactly to the manufacturer's specs to maintain warranties and safety standards. You're also servicing and lubricating major shutoff valves. This is also your ideal window to proactively schedule drain cleaning for historically problematic common stacks. And finally, review your pressure and temperature data from the past year. Spotting trends here can literally warn you about severe scaling long before a pipe ever bursts. But, what happens when plumbing just doesn't follow the calendar? That's where event-based maintenance comes in. There are specific triggers where you just have to throw the schedule out the window and act immediately. If you're seeing repeated tenant reports of clogs in the exact same zone, recurring pressure fluctuations throughout the building, or sudden discolored water, you've got an active event on your hands. Another huge one, post-construction. After any major work affecting plumbing penetrations, you must initiate immediate care to make sure the contractors didn't compromise the existing system. So how do we actually pull this off? Taking ownership, execution, and logging. Having a great list of tasks is kind of useless without the right execution, accountability, and tracking. The source breaks it down into 4 vital steps. Step 1, assign a dedicated maintenance lead to track work orders. Step 2, always use a licensed plumber for testing and heavy-duty cleaning. Step 3, create a rock-solid tenant communication process so residents know what's planned versus what's reactive. And Step 4, maintain a rigorous auditable log. Let's zoom in on that log for a second because this is literally where property managers save themselves from massive liability. To make routine maintenance an actually auditable record, the log has to meticulously track the date, the specific unit or area, detailed findings, clear photos of the issue, and the exact corrective actions you took. Honestly, if it isn't documented this thoroughly from a compliance standpoint, it might as well have never happened. When you diligently follow this structured timeline, from those quick monthly walkthroughs right up to the unpredictable event-based responses, the payoff is absolutely massive. You're drastically cutting down on those middle-of-the-night emergency backups. You stabilize hot water performance across the whole building, significantly extend the life of the entire system, and most importantly, you provide clear expectations and genuine peace of mind for the tenants. Which leaves us with a final thought to consider about the multi-unit spaces we manage or even live in. Is your building genuinely prepared for the next unexpected plumbing failure with a rigorous, documented schedule? Or are you kind of just crossing your fingers and waiting for the pipes to burst? It's a vital question to ask today before the water starts rising tomorrow. Thanks for tuning into this explainer. I hope you found this breakdown as fascinating and practical as I did.